Yeah. Okay, we are recording. Jess, how you doing?
I'm going great. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Where are you today?
I live in Southeast London, so yeah, down about 20 minutes out of the city. Whereabouts are you?
I'm about 20 minutes out of the city on the kind of sort of borders of Essex.
Ah, okay. So
Uh,
east, northeast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How's it-
Is that your real background, or is that a fun green screen?
You know what? The amount of people that comment on that, Jess, it's quite weird. It looks really cool, doesn't it? It looks like I've got this kind of it's real, and it looks like I've got this really cool kind of open brickwork. But it was about £4.99 a roll. It's wallpaper.
It looks good. It's funny because I had this whole podcast chat with someone else the other day who had a studio behind him, and I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty impressive studio," and he's like, "It's a green screen."
Oh, no, this is actually,
you can never tell anymore. This is dappled sunlight in my
my little
lounge
pub.
room.
It's a little pub at the end of the garden. So
I love that.
So it's aptly titled The Whiff Inn, if you see what I've done there.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, look, just before we get on to your playlist today, I just want to ask. Obviously, we've just come out of a surreal sort of 15, 16 months, and I just want to ask how you found it personally and creatively.
I mean, personally, I found it really challenging for a number of reasons, pretty similarly to everyone else, I'm sure. It's just really hard not, going out and seeing people and just becoming a hermit and, conducting all your relationships via Zoom was really, really strange. And creatively, I finished the album, so it was great. It was productive in that way, but I didn't feel necessarily that because I wasn't deriving a lot of inspiration from the real world, I didn't feel necessarily that creative either. And I know a lot of other artists probably might say that they found that whole kind of spell of time I definitely found it self-reflective. Yeah. But I didn't find it that creative. Yeah. I like taking inspiration from around me, and it wasn't available.
Okay. Well, your accent doesn't sound very Southeast London to me. And so, was you? I mean, I presume you're Australian by.
I am Australian.
Was you in Australia or was you in the UK for lockdown?
I was actually in the UK. So we moved in 2018. So I've been here since then. And so we had a good sort of year of getting around London and getting used to a new city, and then the world went into that mad chaos of 2020. So now everyone's coming out of it, and I just it's strange, isn't it? Oh, so my goodness.
If I'm right, are they just allowing people back into Australia?
Yes, they are. So, but only if you have a citizenship, I believe. Or you are married to someone who is a citizen. It's quite hard to get in.
Yeah, my brother lives in Australia and he's got citizenship. But I don't think my folks are allowed out there yet. I think that's kind of.
So your folks are there?
No, my folks are in the UK, and my brother lives in a place called Coffs Harbour. I don't know if you know where that is.
Yes, I do.
It's a very beautiful place. Yeah,
it's very beautiful. Oh, I wonder if it's very small as well. I bet they know my friends who live there. Some of my best friends live in Coffs Harbour. Anyway, go on. Wow, please go on.
There you go. But yeah, okay. So you was in the UK for lockdown. Well, look, I guess let's not sort of dwell on lockdown because we're in more positive times now. So let's kick off the playlist, Jess. And for track one, I'm going to ask you to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
So you asked me this, and I had to think long and hard about it, and I may come up with a different answer, different time. But what immediately came was Thriller by Michael Jackson, because it is so immediately recognizable from the very first note for me. And I love that, I know he's very controversial, and I recently watched Finding Neverland. So we won't go there. But anyway, when I was a kid, I loved the movie. And I watched it over and over again. And my sister was always much better at dancing than I was, so she can do the moves. But the song has a very great intro, in my opinion.
I totally agree. That picture there, you can see in my background there.
Yeah, I can't. I can only see.
You can probably.
I can see, like, I can't see your head.
That's a signed photograph of Michael Jackson. And he's obviously a very divisive character. But I've done 330 odd episodes of this podcast now, and Michael Jackson is featured in a big percentage of them because.
Yeah. I'm such a cliche.
No, but it's just testament to the fact that let's separate the man from the music for a moment and just focus on the music. And untouchable, untouchable. As far as pop music goes, like ridiculous. And Thriller. I'm 48, Jess. Like that came out when I was about 10, and that video scared the bejesus out of me. But oh my God, like what a time to kind of catch a pop star, like just really coming into his own. Like,
and that, it's really hard to imagine that there will ever be another person like Michael Jackson in the pop space, because he just, no one dances like him and no one sings like him. He was just a total triple threat, and he could act and he could sing. And he's such a fascinating individual as well. I grew up a lot, same as you. I grew up just loving him.
Yeah. And we should say, obviously, as much speculation as there is, he's never been found guilty of anything. And don't get me wrong, there's some stuff in the documentaries I've seen that's not very nice, and kind of leads me to think that maybe it all wasn't quite as it seemed in the Jackson camp. But for the sake of this podcast, let's keep to the music. But I do think there was, the 80s definitely sort of threw. You got Prince as well, and Prince was, anyone that can write, dance, play, sing like that.
Genius. If everyone's got, everyone from LA has got a Prince story as well, which is just really, so such a mystery. International man of mystery. But what what a time for music. Like, so much came out of the 80s. And I wouldn't necessarily class Madonna in the same league, but just like icon status kind of performance.
She's up there. Definitely up there.
I still love Madonna. But yeah, Prince for me, I almost got a Prince tattoo too when he died.
He died on my birthday.
No.
I was in Vienna and I just woke up and put the news on, and it was like, Prince has died. And I was like, no, Prince can't die. Like, people like Prince live forever. It was the same with Bowie. It was like, no, these people live forever. They don't die.
When Bowie died. Yeah, gosh, that one really hit home for me. Actually, David Bowie probably even more so than Prince. I was nearly going to have like a Bowie and Prince, because they died within months of each other. Bowie died, I think, on his birthday or the day after in January. When was it? 2014 or 15? 15. It's been a while since
15, I think.
And then I remember everyone, and it was April when Prince died of that same year. It was that crazy year that just like where the Grim Reaper was just like, I'm taking all of you.
All the best ones. Oh dear. And insofar as, to touch on what you said there, will there ever be a sort of mega star like that again? That kind of triple threat. I don't know. Do we look upon, do you think sort of younger people coming through will look upon people like, I don't know, Beyonce or Bruno Mars in the way that perhaps past generations looked at Prince and Jackson and Madonna? I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, it's hard to say because they were so ginormous in the moment, but historically speaking as well. I guess I can't remember feeling, I'm also not 10 years old, so I don't know, maybe we should follow the life of a 10-year-old by the time they get to 40 and then ask them who has that feeling, or who insights up for them. Yeah, I mean, Beyonce and Bruno Mars, but there's so much music around and there are so many big pop stars, and just it's changed. There are so many mediums where you can hear music, and people listen to songs now instead of albums. And I think that's really changed the way that superstardom sort of status. I mean, you don't have supermodels anymore, for example. So I don't know if it's a zeitgeist thing or if it's a perception thing. I'm not sure.
Well, let's touch on that, because there's two things I want to sort of touch on in what you just said there. So firstly, where you said that people, the world's not necessarily an album's market anymore. We are seeing people cherry pick tracks and release more and more singles and EPs on Spotify and such. When you write, and this is going back to an intro, when you write, are you, and I've tried to frame this question correctly for about 300 episodes, and I never ever ever get it right, but do you take into consideration the way that younger generations that are coming through listen to music, and how quickly their attention spans are, and how quickly their thumbs move on whatever format they're consuming their music via? Is that something that filters into your creative process?
For me personally, as an artist, no. If I'm writing for another artist, or if there's a brief from a label, I'm writing for them, absolutely. Unfortunately, there is a way that people listen and consume, and there's the 3-minute 30 perfect song length, and where your chorus should be coming in at around 45 seconds, and as minimal an intro as possible, because people want ear candy and they want it instantly. So obviously the way that people consume music and listen to it changes all the time as well, but it is a consideration when I'm if I'm called into a pop writing session. But for me personally, and it's probably to my detriment in a way, I've grown up with like a lot, artists like Pink Floyd with like these super long intros, and the Beatles, and these artists that didn't like eschewed all of that, and I guess we're not really living in that same kind of a time. But I think if a song calls for a short intro, great. If it calls for a long intro or a long chorus or 2 choruses and not 3, then that is it. I'm all for what serves the song the best, if we're talking about me as an artist.
Absolutely. And that thing about where you were saying about the sort of superstar, do you think that you said there's no supermodels anymore, and do you think that's because everybody's so overexposed? And just to kind of go back to Prince and Jackson and Madonna, you didn't really know anything about them, did you? And that magic was kind of what made it even more alluring, do you think? And that magic's gone now. You can see what Bruno Mars had for breakfast. He'll put it on Instagram. It's like
yeah, I mean, I really miss that mystery. I think I've often spoken about this. Like, I think the mystery that those artists used to have was really great. Like, they didn't have Instagram, they didn't have like Facebook, you any kind of nugget about them, like you would read interviews and you would read all the blog posts, because not there was like blog posts back then, but you would read every interview because you would like take away whatever nugget of information you could find about them. Whereas now I think people are oversaturated. That's not to say there's not super fans, because obviously there are. And there's a kind of marketing that labels do that really want to like create, the super fandoms where you've got like these, the elite stars. Like Ariana has, I don't know what they call her fans, but then you've got the believers, and then you've got, they've all got names like the little monsters. I'm not sure that was, I don't know. I think it's I feel like an old fuddy duddy. I really do miss those days of not knowing who not knowing that much about my favorite artist, and that was their appeal and their allure.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on the same page there. Track 2, Jess. The first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
Oh my goodness, this I feel almost embarrassed to say this is so cheesy, but I think, and I said it too, I always cry. There are lots of great emotional songs, but I always cry when I hear Bette Midler's Wind Beneath My Wings. And I think it's because I love, like, when I was a kid, I watched that movie Beaches with Barbara Hershey and Bette Midler, and it left such an impact on me of like this story about this lifelong friendship between these two incredible women. One was an extrovert, being like Bette Midler's character, who's this singer and this star, and then there was this, you know, introverted character, which I really identified with, Barbara Hershey's. And without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, there's a kind of sad ending. But that song reminds me of their friendship and what happens at the end of that movie. So I think about that story when I hear that song, and it always makes me cry. But the song is quite cheesy. But I should be really, oh, hang on, 1 second. I should be really careful when I say it's, I mean, it's a classic song, and I actually got to write, and I did do a co-writing session with the writer of that song actually in Los Angeles. He's a lovely man. His name's Jeff Sibler, and I did a writing session at his house in Los Angeles. And I mean, he obviously makes like mint from that song. Like, he had a Hallmark card, like that's the type of Hallmark card where you press the button and it says, "Hi, happy birthday," but it says, "You're the wind beneath my wings."
Oh, wow.
So he's earning royalties like wherever you look, basically. Yeah, I'd just love to write a song like that.
I mean, I guess one of the saddest films ever made, and I don't know.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Beachy, of course.
It is sad, right?
Oh, it's
so
heartbreaking. Absolutely cried like a baby when I first saw that, and I won't go back and watch it again because I guarantee I'll still cry. It's heartbreaking.
So, but then what happens when you hear that song?
Yeah, it takes you straight back. Of course it
does.
It does,
though. Oh God, it's so funny. Like, it'll just come on like Magic FM. You know, sometimes like I put on Magic FM because, especially at Christmas time. But when it comes on, it's just, oh God, here I go again. Oh my God.
So in regards to sort of emotional music, then, if you wake up, Jess, and you're feeling a bit low, feeling a little bit blue, can
you see me okay? Like, I'm like sort of some weird sunlight.
You kind of like one half of you's in the shadow and the other's not, so it's kind of good. I feel like I'm kind of getting like good Jess and evil Jess at different times, like whenever the kind of shadows move, I'm liking it.
Okay, cool.
But in regards to that, if you wake up and you're feeling like emotional or low, do you reach for something very uplifting and positive, or do you reach for something more somber and kind of process that emotion with music and enjoy and, you know, kind of work your way through however you're feeling and soundtrack it with something blue as well?
That's a really good question. How about I just, while I have a think about it, I turn that back on you first. What do you do?
Oh, 100% Nick Cave all day long.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Nick Cave. Yeah.
I reach for Nick Cave. If I need to just pick it up a little bit more, I'll go What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. That record's kind of got a really nice kind of feel to it, but still quite sad. And but yeah, anything Nick Cave and the piano. Oh yeah, that's me on a low day.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely be someone that turns to Nick Cave, or I'd put on maybe even like early Cat Power or something like that. Yeah, there's I also do try and listen to upbeat music when I'm feeling sad, but no, I probably listen to more sad music actually. Yeah, I'd say Nick Cave or early Cat Power, or like some Radiohead or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Radiohead to do it. Yeah. Have you heard the new covers album by Cat Power?
I haven't heard the new one. No, I know she's actually, has she just put it out, or she's just about to? Because she's touring it. She's touring it early next year. Yeah. Have you seen her live?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, she's great. I've seen her a few times. I think early on she was quite polarizing because I don't know what she's like now, but she used to hate performing live, and she used to get terrible stage fright and get quite drunk and like lie down on the stage and just in the middle of a set and not carry on.
Yeah.
But since then, obviously, she's kind of come a long way, and I think enjoys herself, or seems to at least. Yeah, I'm a big fan of hers.
Have you heard, right? So this is quite a long shot, right? But it's something, while we're speaking about, obviously Cat Power, she's got a covers record out, but there's this 14-year-old girl from Brisbane called Nell. And she's the youngest guest I've had on this podcast, but her dad reached out to me because it's a beautiful story, Jess. She went to see the Flaming Lips live in Brisbane, and I don't know if you're a Flaming Lips fan or not, but Wayne Coyne was in this big gigantic bubble like he does, and goes out onto the crowd whilst doing a cover of Space Oddity, and this guy took his daughter, and she was dressed in this tiny little unicorn outfit on his shoulders. And when the ball stopped in front of her, she's put both her hands on there, and they've caught it on camera, her like singing Space Oddity back at Wayne Coyne, whose hands then touch her hands through the ball.
Wow.
And then it kind of went a little bit viral, and Wayne Coyne then reached out to her. Turns out that, you know, she really loves music, and she's like, plays music. And this week they released the first track from the album, which is the Flaming Lips, with this 14-year-old girl releasing Nick Cave cover songs, and she's just released the Ship song, and it's unreal. It's on Spotify. So yeah, if you like Nick Cave and you like kind of really lush covers, then that one's spectacular.
Her name's Nell. Okay,
Nell. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so for track 3, I'm going to take you back to school, and I'm going to ask you please to tell me of the song that reminds you of your time there, please.
So I think for this one, I'm going to choose Semisonic's Closing Time. It was when we had our last dance, and my high school boyfriend, it takes me back to that time, and we sang that song as we were all leaving, and it's yeah, really funny. I know that. Do you remember them?
Of course.
And now it's funny because Dan Wilson, who is like the lead singer and principal songwriter, is like he's kind of big songwriter in LA now.
He's not struggling with a mortgage, is he?
No, he's definitely not. He co-wrote Someone Like You for Adele, and he has written with loads of artists. He's lovely. He's quite kooky. But yeah, he's doing okay, I think, Dan is.
Yeah, they were huge in the UK. Like Secret Smile was like global mega hit, wasn't it? Closing Time.
Closing Time was like I thought that Secret Smile was an album track. I don't think it was a single in Australia, but I know Closing Time was. I'd have to have a look at the record.
There was another big single.
I listened to it, like, I think when I was putting this together, like putting my ideas together, I listened to it and like sang every song on the record. Oh my goodness, they have like, hang on, singing in my sleep. That was another big one. Wait. Can you hear that?
No.
I can't actually remember, but that title's really familiar to me.
Yeah. There was another massive single in the UK, and I can't think what it was.
I reckon it would have. I feel like that was a single, but anyway. And it looks like it's got like loads of plays on Spotify. So Secret Smile and Closing Time and Singing in My Sleep. Yeah.
How was school, Jess?
Good. I guess I was a pretty good student, and I had lots of really good friends that I'm still friends with to this day. And I played guitar and stuff, but I never was known as the musical one at my school. What about you? You grew up. Did you grow up where you are, or you?
Yeah. I've kind of always grown up around here, and it's not necessarily. It's really weird. I set this podcast up initially just because there's quite a few people from where I live that have sort of done quite well within the arts, and I'm always fascinated why lots of them choose not to go to London, because so many people gravitate towards London from all over the UK. You know, if you want to get a record, you move to London. You want to be an actor, move to London. And I'm always fascinated by people that don't, and how they kind of facilitate it and how they do it. So that was the actual original concept of this podcast, and it's kind of evolved a little bit. But yeah, did you know what you wanted to be when you was at school?
I definitely didn't consider music as a path ever, actually. I think when I was at school, I mean, there was the dreamer side of me wanted to be an actor. I wanted to run away to be an actor in LA. But then when I actually started doing a little bit of acting, I realized I didn't really like it. I think a journalist. Yeah. What about you?
You're throwing the questions back at me. This is quite strange. What did I want to be? I wanted to be a rock star.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just wanted. I couldn't sing, but I wanted to be a singer. And yeah, so I had a crack at it, and I got a little record deal, and yeah, we've done some bits. But the biggest claim to fame we had, Jess, was our manager was Ricky Gervais. Our manager was more famous than us.
Oh my goodness! You still keep in touch?
Occasionally, yeah. Yeah, I think Ricky's done all right for himself.
I think he has. I think he's all right. But wasn't he like he was a musician himself for a while? Wasn't
he was managing us. He was also managing Suede as well. So yeah,
I remember that.
And he was a promoter at the time. He was the Ents manager at the venue ULU in London, University of London Union. That was kind of after his kind of new romantic Bowie-esque career.
Wow! So that's what he did before. Then he became a writer. Because I guess there was like he did the New Romantics. There was that phase, and then he didn't do the Offense until he was like 40 or something.
Yeah, so he was a promoter. So he was putting the band at the University of London Union, alongside I believe it was the drummer from Suede. I think that's how his relationship with Suede formed. Okay. And yeah,
that's amazing. Wow! I mean, what a story.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it all fizzled out for me. But he went on to become a global megastar. But there you go.
I know. I mean, he's doing all right for himself, isn't he? He's okay.
Yeah.
Our friends see him in Hampstead all the time, like live in Hampstead. That see him that he felt the time walking there. Yeah, when they walk their dogs, he loves that. He knows their dog's name, but not theirs.
Love it. Oh dear. Right. So I mean, you said that you had a guitar and when you was growing up, but you wasn't necessarily known as the musical girl at school. Like, did you grow up in a musical household? Was there records on at home growing up?
Yeah, I did. So my dad was a musician. He played in his youth. He was in bands and all that. And he had a musical instrument store in Australia, which is still going, called the Guitar Factory. But he was also my dad became a Jehovah's Witness when I was quite young, which is why not a lot of people know that Michael Jackson grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and I always felt a kinship with Mike. Yeah,
wow,
Michael.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I guess as part of that, we didn't really. I wasn't sort of meant to be in bands or standing on stage singing, and I'd often, if I had took a guitar to school, I'd be the one playing for someone else. But which suited me fine as well. So it's like, I don't know why I never really have been this type of person that loves getting up in front of everyone, and I like creating much more.
You wasn't necessarily a kind of confident kid then?
I was definitely confident, and I would say I'm still really confident. It's a different style of like confidence, I think, that you need for like, there's a certain swagger, or like this feeling that you have of maybe like the world needs to hear my music, and there's nothing wrong with having that. If you've got that, I think I never really sort of had that, like that type of confidence, which I think you really need if you want to like pursue life as a rock star. But for me, I've just been this like shy artist comparatively.
Okay, track 4.
Okay.
First song you bought from a record store, please, Jess.
I actually can't remember what did I say for this. First, I think that so my dad had this shop, and we had one that closed down, and we ended up with all of the vinyl and all of the CDs from that store came back to my place, and I was like a kid in the candy shop, obviously. But I feel it was amazing. I think that it was Martika by Martika. And so that was like probably my first CD, and then, or maybe Bad, Michael Jackson's Bad.
Yeah.
I think it was either one of those two. And then for vinyl, I bought there's a bush musician in Australia, bush folk artist, who's kind of like our Bob Dylan, called John Williamson, and he created this like record called Rip Rip Wood Chip, which I bought, which was all very pro environment at that time, when no one was, you were a hip, like I was always very pro environment, so I guess I was considered a bit of a hippie.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Martika. So
do you know who that is?
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, you do.
There was obviously Toy Soldiers was huge.
Amazing.
Martika's Kitchen.
Yeah, not so much. I think that was not on the album. She was really well known. She did a cover of "I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet" by Carole King.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was a cover. So actually, it was Martika introduced me to Carole King. But she also did a cover of, which wasn't on the Martika record. She did a cover of Prince's "Love Thy Will Be Done," which was like amazing. Yeah. Or even Prince may have written it for her. That's like, I think, an unbelievable song.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does quite well.
And
I still listen to that sometimes.
I'm sure there was another single that maybe was the first one that kind of blew up for her over here. It's going to drive me mad.
Martika's Kitchen was a hit. It just wasn't on that record.
No, there was definitely one before Toy Soldiers. It's going to drive me mad.
Same. I have to know as well. So there's Toy Soldiers, I Feel the Earth Move, Cross My Heart, maybe. Whatever.
I think that
we'll have to figure out.
I didn't think I'd be doing a deep dive on Martika today. Love it. I mean, just to touch on Bad as well. I mean, if we're going to look at a perfect pop record, I mean, was it pretty much 90% of? Was everything a single on that album?
It was very single heavy, and I mean, it was back in the days when record labels used to spend like $1 million on a film clip. So they would, I remember the film clip for Bad, where it was just like the gangs in the street, and they were with the jackets, and they were dancing, and it was crazy. It was so cool. It was.
I interviewed a music video maker that was kind of responsible. He made the video for Dirty Diana.
Yeah.
And he made the video for, what was the other one with Slash? Give In To Me? Was it?
Give In To Me. Yeah. Of course, Slash was all over that record, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And it escapes me the name of this director's name, but we were sort of doing this other podcast talking about like overblown, ridiculously egotistical driven, bloated videos from the 80s.
Yeah.
And he mentioned some of these, and I was just like, and then he said he made some for Bon Jovi, and I was like, did he make the big one? And I was like, when he kept talking about Slash, I was like, did you make the video for November Rain? And he was like, yes. I was like,
no.
Oh my God. It gets no bigger or overblown than that.
It's so overblown. That song's like 10 minutes long or something, right? As well. Talk about, and it was on commercial radio as well.
I know.
That was so little, but I remember like, this song is going forever. You would never hear a song 10 minutes long on commercial radio.
The church that they used in that was on wheels, and it just gets used in lots of things. It's actually used in Young Guns as well, that church.
A church on wheels. I know what I'm going to make. Who thought of ever making a church on wheels? Can you imagine? I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to build a church on wheels.
I think he said the band turned up 10 days late, not 10 hours, 10 days late to the shoot. It was all Axl's ego and idea, this video. And it was like, as he was telling me all these little bits and pieces about what it was like, so like the band hated each other at that point. When Slash storms out the church, he was literally quitting the band. He said, said it was just like, you can imagine, like it must have been handbags flying around everywhere. I'd love to have been there, but yeah. Anyway, we digress. So I guess I like to ask guests about record shops and that, but and that kind of relationship you have with them. But I suppose yours is quite different if it was the family business.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't it was okay, so it was an instruments shop. Mm-hmm. And then and this one particular store happened to also have a record shop attached to it. I think my dad was just like thinking really big, and then it obviously didn't work out. But sorry, do you mean like, sorry, what was it like having a record?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested to know about people's kind of relationships with that journey of going to buy the record, you know, and just to go full circle really on that whole kind of thing of, you know, now it's all very fast and it's all very, you know, people just buy a single track, whereas I think a lot of people associate more of a journey of going and buying them first records and then getting it home and just staring at the sleeve and devouring the sleeve notes
and being so proud of your collection, and just you know, being, you know, having I was reading Elton John's book and how he loves his vinyl collection and still collects vinyl to this day, but he's so careful with his vinyl. Like I think he wore gloves when he took the vinyls out, and you know, I think we have, that's really sad, because my dad's shop was great, but I wouldn't say like that he had that shop during my formative years, where same as you, like I would go in and buy, you know, I would read something about an artist I'd never heard of, and I would listen to it, and then I would buy it, and I would take this album home that, you know, for this artist who I'd never heard of, and I'd either love it or not. But we've lost that, and I think it's really sad. I loved, I mean, now, you know, it's uncommon for an artist you've never heard of to even be in a record shop. Like, what record shops are available? So it's it's a lot harder for bands and young artists, because there are so many of them now, and I guess with the tools that you can make records at home and so easily upload them to Spotify, it's just harder to get your music out there. But yeah, I loved going in and like discovering new music. It's a lost time. I'm so glad that I was a part of it.
And before we talk clubbing, you touched upon the fact that you was, you know, that you've got a confidence in what you do, and you've chosen a very competitive industry to immerse yourself in, Jess. So with that in mind, would you say that you're driven?
I'm definitely driven, and I think there's I like to be a part of, you know, I'm probably less commercially driven. I'm more artistically driven, even with the people that I work for. And again, that's probably to my detriment. I should just choose the things that pay me really well. I'm just really, I want to connect with people who I think are good, and I want to write songs that I believe in. Yeah. And otherwise, I'd just get a corporate job, which, you know, I've done before. That just, it feels, if I was just doing it for money, then that would feel very much the same. I think this is, I'm driven to leave. I'm driven by legacy, and I'm driven to leave something behind that hopefully enriches someone's experience. You know, whether it's in the car or whether they, you know, need it at a certain moment. That's what drives me. Yeah.
And that's so important, that you just said the word car there, and so many people that have been on this podcast will reference, like most recently, Foo Fighters was talking about just that song, their first emotional memory, in a car with my dad, like hearing it on the radio, like hearing it on a tape in the car, and there was many before that their first emotional attachment to music is kind of family holidays in the car, and like hearing them songs. And I've mentioned it before. It's like I don't know if it was a hit in Australia in the 80s, but there's an amazing record by a Scottish band called Aztec Camera called Somewhere in My Heart. I don't know if you know that.
No.
I'm not going to sing it. But it's a beautiful pop song, and
Somewhere in My Heart.
Somewhere in My Heart, yeah.
Okay.
In my heart. There is a light that a star that shines for you. Silver splits the blue. You would know it when you hear it, and it's that, and that's kind of the point of what I'm saying is that my children were in the car and it come on the radio, and they were singing along, and I was like, how do you know this song? It's come out in like 1987, and they're like, oh, it's just one of them songs, isn't it? And it just blew my mind that some songs are just interwoven into just the fabric of culture and music, and they just find their way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they kind of, they're alive. They're, and then whether or not they're they're used in an ad or in people, some songs just live forever.
Totally. I'm going to take you clubbing, Jess. So for track 5, the song that soundtrack your year's clubbing, please.
I'd have to say Lady by Mojo.
Okay. Tell me about that track.
I think I remember it playing the very first time that I went to a club in Sydney, and I had a really great time.
Right.
I don't know if I could really tell you any story in particular. I just remember it being on like really, really loud in the car on the way to, for us to go clubbing when we were really young, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna like drink and we're gonna be up all night, we're gonna see the sunrise, those crazy fun years that you have that, now I can't like drink really until, if I have a drink at 1 a.m. I'm like dead in the next morning. So it reminds me of that time when, the world was your oyster and like everything is ahead of you. What's your song? I'm curious to know. What's your club song?
Well, I run a nightclub. That's kind of what I do as well.
Oh my goodness!
And so I've run a kind of.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
It's a quirky little kind of indie club. That's kind of I've worked there 28 years. It's called the Pink Toothbrush.
Oh my goodness!
And it's this bizarre little place. Like the in-house band like was Depeche Mode, like they're our resident band, and it's there's lots of kind of history in this weird little place. And so my kind of clubbing was always kind of indie clubs, really. So I'd go up to London and go to these like little indie nights and stuff. And I don't know. I guess mine would probably be, I don't even know. It's not even a dance song. If I had to pick a dance song, it'd probably be Out of Space by the Prodigy. Other than that, it'd have to be Debaser by the Pixies, because it just makes me want to go nuts when I hear that and dance.
Oh my goodness. Have you seen the Pixies live? Have you seen that song?
I've seen them, several times. I saw them at Brixton when they come over and played like the album Doolittle, and so that was pretty cool. Have you?
I have, yeah. I saw them they played Splendor in the Grass 2012. It was this crazy lineup where everyone, like all these amazing bands played, and the Pixies headlined. And I remember I was seeing like Richard Ashcroft from The Verve, and like I think he was on at the same time.
Wow. No one went and watched him, did they?
No one. And he went, fuck this, I'm going to Pixies.
My brother was at that show.
Yeah.
And that was quite famous. He had a strop, didn't he, Richard Ashcroft?
Yeah, well, because no one saw him. Yeah. And we didn't, to be honest, like we didn't plan to see him either. We just like happened to be there from watching whatever the last band was. We're like, let's go to the Pixies. And I mean, I love the Verve, but I love the Pixies.
Oh, I've got quite a cool little Aussie story about the Pixies. Well, my brother owned a couple of bars in Brisbane, and he was working one, and he used to kind of do like sort of advertise to like whoever was big was playing. He'd be like, "Oh, come and have some food here if you're going to go and watch whatever show in the evening." And he was just like working in his like bar restaurant in Brisbane, and he said there was no one in there. It was like lunchtime. It just opened. And Frank Black walked in, and my brother was like, fuck, it's Frank Black. And he said he just sort of come and sat at the bar and was just sort of said to my brother, "Are you English?" Like, "Yeah, like what are you doing over here?" And he was like, "Oh, just blah blah blah." And then he just went like, "Yeah," he just said like, "Yeah, I'm over from the States, just on doing some work and that." And he just completely played down who he was. And like my brother just sort of went,
You are.
I know you are. Like, I'm a fucking ridiculously mad fan, and I'm really trying to rein it in right now. And he was just like, "Oh man, do you want me to sign some stuff?" And he just sort of signed some bits for the bar and stuff. And then he
would
went
have
to
loved that.
my brother went, "Look, can I at least get you dinner?
Yeah.
Like, can I pay for your food?" And he went, No. And my brother went, "Look, I can't take money off you. Like, just thanks for like what you've done for like, my record collection." And he went, "Okay, cool." And then as he went out, he gave the girl on the door, the waitress, like $100, like as a tip. And then you think, oh, it's lovely when you hear nice things like that about people. You just think, oh, there's still lots of good people in the world. And yeah.
But your brother must have also made him feel so good about himself, because you've been, someone, you were someone, and now you're still someone, but no one really knows. He would have been, he would have been hugely grateful that someone recognized him and knew his music, and obviously like then tipped the girl $100. He was in it.
Okay, I'm taking you home, Jess, for track 5. Favorite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Okay, so this is sort of educational, this choice. Though I think he was very big over here, John Farnham.
I'm going to educate you on this a little bit as well, but go on, you go first.
Okay, so Johnny Farnham is this Jesus kind of character in Australia of music, and he's got a tremendous voice, and he is known as the Voice. And the song I'm going to say for this is "You're the Voice" by John Farnham, which is sort of an unofficial Australian anthem. Anyone will know this song. If you ever want to impress an Australian, you just mention this song. I'll put it on your playlist. It's a song that will get up on the bar and we'll dance to at like 2 a.m. if you ever put it on. So yeah. That song was a huge hit here as well.
Yeah,
right?
It's a huge hit, yeah. And it still sounds so good. It's like it's a fist pumper, right?
It's like that's a song that's alive. Like that's just going to be forever. That song. Yeah. As soon as you come, that's got a strong intro too. Like,
it really has. Yeah. I remember my brother, because we knew that song, and it was just like a bit of a kind of in the UK. It gets played at kind of like, I don't know if you call it, like sort of cheesy rock nights and things like that, with hair metal, that'd get sort of thrown in with that. And like, my brother phoned me up, and it was like, whatever this kind of Australian version of the Brit Awards were, he must have got some sort of lifetime achievement thing.
Yeah.
And my brother phoned me up, he was like, "Mate, people really fucking love John Farnham." And I was like, "Really?" He went, "He got some award," and like most of my housemates were crying. I was like, "What?" I really like him over here.
Crying, wow. I mean, I can't remember him winning that award, but it would have been emotional. Yeah, I probably would have been a little emotional seeing that.
So
and he's also a bit of a national joke as well, because he's been saying like since I was a kid that this is going to be my last tour ever. And then he goes on sale and he sells it out, and then he comes back year on year. He's like a rug shop. I don't know if that's another Australian thing. You see a rug shop closing down. Yeah, Johnny Farnham in a rug shop.
Have you got your computer in front of you? Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going to get John Farnham on Wikipedia, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where was John Farnham born?
He's British born.
He's an Essex boy. He's from Essex. He was born in Canvey Island.
He's from Dagenham.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So he's actually right.
Yeah. Right. So I can have him for my home county.
You can claim him. There's this really lovely video. I'm not sure, where's Tom Jones from? He's from Wales.
Yeah.
There's a lovely video on YouTube of Johnny Farnham and Tom Jones on an old TV show called Hey Hey It's Saturday in Australia, and there's a video of them both singing and them both like loving on each other. It's just very, very sweet, because John Farnham's voice is just like, you know, as a singer, it's like epic.
Yeah, we've got good singers in Essex.
Must be that water in Dagenham.
Honestly, like when I saw that, I was looking up. Probably when I started this podcast, I was looking for people from Essex to have on. For I was going to do it in series. I thought first series I'll have Essex, like people from Essex and their track and how they've worked their career. And I just googled like musicians from Essex, and I was like, John Farnham from Essex. Just phoned my brother. I was like, mate, he's from Essex.
That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Dagenham's finest, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the last track, Jess, I'm going to ask you, please, and you can play tastemaker and influencer on this one.
Okay.
To tell me a song, please, that you think many people may not know that you would like them to hear.
So I am going to suggest checking out a really cool Swedish duo called Nikki and the Dove. Mm-hmm. And the song that I'm going to choose is You Want the Sun, which is very, if you like, they're sort of like a slash between Fleetwood Mac and Empire of the Sun, and they're just all feel good, like sunny, sun-drenched tracks, and Marlon's voice is amazing.
How did you discover them?
I can't remember, probably through some obscure blog or like Spotify. No, I tell you where I heard of them for the first time. I heard them in a play, like I was having lunch and I heard them on like a playlist, and I Shazammed them, and I thought like these guys are amazing. And actually I would say that they inspired me. They've inspired me a lot, the style of music that I listen to a lot of classic records, but I'd say Nikki and the Dove, really, their sound like inspired me a lot for this record. Yeah.
Okay. Well, people can listen to
it. Have you heard of them before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And we put together a Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast, so people can listen to all of the songs we've spoken about today, and including Dagenham's finest, John Farnham.
It's gonna be the weirdest playlist. It's like geez, is anyone gonna follow? Like, you're the voice, like, and wind beneath my wings. What a medley.
Well, I guess we're hoping that the rest of this year and 2022 are going to be a far more connected and happy and positive place than where we was this time last year. So with that in mind, Jess, what are you looking forward to from the coming months, and what's going to be happening professionally?
Personally, I'm looking forward to getting back to Australia and seeing friends and family. My sister had a baby last year, I haven't met yet, and my sister-in-law had a baby. And then professionally, I'm sort of looking forward to playing the songs on this record live, getting in front of people again, getting together with the band, and I'm really looking forward to doing that and having getting off Zoom. I have to come and check out your nightclub.
Do it. And also, if people want to kind of keep up to speed with releases and dates and stuff, where's the best place to kind of keep up to speed with you?
Thank you. I have a mailing list that I don't send mail very often, maybe once a month or something, but on my website you can sign up to my mailing list at jesschalker.com. Thank you.
Well, I will put that on the bio for this episode so people can just go click it and go and have an explore. Jess, it's been an absolute delight talking records with you today. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you as well. I will never forget that John Farnham is from Essex. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. All right.
Right.